better part of 2 decades, index stayed a niche, often ridiculed strategy. Actively managed funds still dominated the industry, and being told your fund was designed to be average was, for the most of Wall Street's history, close to an insult. But the fund kept doing something stubborn and unglamorous. Over long stretches of time, after accounting for the fees active funds charged, the boring index fund quietly outperformed a majority of professionally managed funds trying to beat it. Not every year, not spectacularly, just consistently, compounded over decades, which turns out to be exactly the time frame that matters most for a retirement account. Slowly, the results became harder to dismiss. Academic research piled up supporting the same conclusion Bogle's 1951 thesis had already suggested. Costs are one of the few things an investor can actually control, and lower costs compound into meaningfully better outcomes over a lifetime. Here's the part of the story that tends to get lost once, quote-unquote, index funds won. The very rivals who mocked the idea eventually built their own versions of it. The firms that once dismissed low-cost indexing as un-American or a formula for mediocrity spent the following decades launching their own index funds and exchange-traded funds, competing directly on the low fees Bogle had insisted from the start. The strategy that was once an industry punchline became an industry requirement. If you didn't offer a low-cost index option by the 2000s and 2010s, you risked losing customers to firms that did. Bogle himself never fully stepped away from being a critic. Even after winning the argument, he continued warning that the industry was drifting towards complexity and higher cost products dressed up in index fund language, arguing that the original spirit of the idea, simplicity, low cost, long-term ownership, was easy to lose sight of even inside the movement he had started. The lesson here isn't index funds are good. That's a conclusion, but not the interesting part. The interesting part is how long a correct, well-documented idea can be openly mocked by an entire industry simply because it threatened how that industry made money. Bogle wasn't laughed at because his math was wrong. The math largely held up from the very beginning. He was laughed at because his idea reduced what an entire industry could charge for people doing something that it turned out wasn't worth as much as they'd been charging for it. That's worth remembering the next time an industry insists something is too simple to work.